There was a time I lost regular work, not because I wasn't competent. It was because I did not tend to the relationship. I became complacent. I thought, oh, this is my forever job. I've got this down. We're cool. We've got this thing going. And we're good. We're good to retirement, right? Was I wrong? So it was, yeah, years ago. And I got to get this, I've done a few jobs here and there, and then they decided, you know what, just to make things regular, it'd be best if we just had one regular support at work. And yeah, I got the role. And it was more kind of like they hadn't provided provisions before, and this was going to be like a regular thing. It was a new manager, it was a new thing. We had a discussion with the manager, with the client, and it was like, all this chit chat. I just want to focus on my work. I want to get my work done, and that's it. I just want to be able to, if I need to ask anybody any questions, you step in, you help out, and then you can then stay in the corner. I've done some support before where when you're not needed. One time I brought out I think I was a book I wanted to read. I was like, oh no, no, we're not allowed. You can't do that and stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay. This is not for me then. This one gave me that flexibility to do my own thing in a downtime. When I'm not needed, I can just like do whatever that I wanted. And it just worked perfectly for me. And we kept going. Relationship was just great. Fast forward months, years later. Um, there was a restructuring that happened in the company, and then they had to move location to a new place. The manager now wasn't moving on to the next place. They went on for redundancy, which was like, kudos to them with a fat check. And so now my person is now going to have new management, new location, new everything, which then means that they're going to have training. And some of it was going to be online, and it wasn't something that just me could do. I needed that support in helping to make sure everything was like, on par because brain fatigue is a thing, like processing. Yeah, a thing. So brought in colleagues to come join the folk and support were here, there, and then yeah, there was like a couple and it was going okay. So I thought when they came in, because I knew kind of like how things worked and some of the softwares or things that we're using, I was explained and made sure all those things were like on par. That I was still running on the old version of instructions and I didn't like move with time. Like things have moved on now. We're now in a new location. So now we're bringing in fresh eyeballs, like fresh meat, like I like to call it. Colleagues who are like green or who are like have a different way of how, okay, this is how we roll. And which is like nothing against them. Like they didn't get my briefing that I got that look, chit chat, not necessary, give straight what's needed, have this, have that. And then they're coming in like even when the pin drops, oh, the pin dropped. Oh, this happened. That person coughed. That person's talking about her dinner she's having tomorrow. So it became, oh, so now my deaf person is like, oh, okay. Oh, so this is there. And then it's like, you know how some people like to do goody two shoes? Like, oh, when we're doing the training, normally it will be like we'll be co-working and supporting, but this is a whole different dynamic. There wasn't the space for that for starters. There wasn't like all that thing. It was more, and because of how it's a remote kind of like training, when you put the thing on, it's echoing for other colleagues, and it was just not working. So it had to be you on, you rest, flip, any instructions would like let know. And when we're doing a flipping, this other colleague is like hovering, like, uh-huh, yeah. And it was just, when someone has it, it was just a whole different, I guess, a whole different experience, a whole different, and which like was great. But what was working before, I was still on that old version. And now this is like a whole new thing. And now they're like, it became like awkwardness between us. I was sensing, I'm like checking in, like, oh, not checking in per se, as in like what the deal is. And you can just see the shiftiness and stuff. But I just took it as just, it's that time of the month. Oh, joking. But it got to the point where one of the people that kept coming to support, because this training went on for a long time, like it was, and I loved that because I was having company, I was having to, relate to other people. So it was good to co-work again because I haven't done that like a long time. Having another colleague I was gonna say in the house. And it got to the point where, okay, now this person is now having a whole different version. I'm thinking, yes, we're good, everything's rolling. And then all of a sudden, I just got, like, we're finishing off for the day. Before that, I could notice that the break has ended, things have happened, and it's like they're just hovering around the computer. I'm like, okay, what's going on there? She's like, oh, I'm just helping out with something. And like, she didn't really say that, but it was just kind of like you could see like something. Like look, me being naive, whatever. I wouldn't even know what to place it. But something happened after the fact. I knew what was going on there. So this other colleague was helping them draft an email that I was going to send to her manager because the manager was remote at the time to then say that they don't need my services anymore and like I wasn't, I don't know what she said in that email. I didn't get the memo. All it said was that she didn't want me anymore. And when I was leaving, it was kind of like, bye, see you tomorrow, kind of like thing. And before I got to my front door, I just got notification of all these cancellations of jobs that have been booked in advance. And like just do, cancel, 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 cancel. And even the agency didn't even have the courtesy to like let me know before that happened. And then I'm thinking, is this a computer error? Like, what the heck's going on here? Like, why am I getting all this cancellation? I called. And then they said, oh yeah, actually they said they don't. Oh, this is news to me. I didn't even well, they not more like what? Yeah, they don't want you anymore. And this person has said see you tomorrow. So that was kind of like a uh this just reminded me of I'm in another organization and there's this person that like they are so good at what they do, but they became like, we're home, we're cool, and like we'll do whatever we want and like not disregards of other people's like feelings and like schedule and things like that. I think, oh, I'm always gonna be there. And all of a sudden they give them a card like, your services are not required anymore. And it just kind of, yeah, I've been there. I know how it feels. And you survive, you grow from this, you whatever. And the lessons I learned from that is like sometimes it's not the skill, it's the relationship. I didn't nurture that relationship. I didn't check in with that relationship. And what I've noticed, like people who work in like long-term employment, they do have things where they have check-in performance or they check in like how things are going or annual review or things like that. And with myself, there was nothing like that. There was that initial meeting of like, okay, this is how we want you to support this person. But there was no like, let's check in. How are things going? What's like, how is this relationship thing? Is this now, do you still want like no knowing like what's the chit chat's happening or what, Becky's having for lunch and like how the Boys to Men's concert happened and blah, blah, blah. Like, is that like, having those check-ins and having to like just not think, okay, this is what we're doing and that's it. Not like, okay, they've said this is it and that's it forever instruction. People evolve, they change how they want to be delivered, how they want the information that changes as well. So just relying on like, okay, we've gotten that, that's it. So yeah, for me, it's about knowing that, okay, have those check-ins, have those things that you know that it is um to make sure that we're on the same path. And if we outgrow each other, which is okay, or situation, or it's no longer an interest of one, again, that's fine as well. But knowing that feeling like, okay, if I've got this thing, it's done, it's forever, or that's how it is gonna be. Without actually putting in the work to nurture it, to check in, to know that, oh, um, like how we like playing this thing and feeling like, yeah, we're good forever and everything will be rosy. Yeah, that it was at the time painful, hurtful, and how it got broke off. Even the colleague would have just like, "Hey, Nene, you're not like." I think she just wanted my role. And guess what happened when I left? Guess who replaced me? Her. She did. Um, and it's all good. I have grown from that. It really made me like reflect and think of how I showed off, of how how I relate when I do have those regular like touching to make sure we're on the same page, everything's still like as is and not thinking that, oh, got this down. Hmm, we're cool. I'm always gonna be here, you know. So yeah, have it like really take that time. I mean, in your work, like, have you ever like stopped to just check in because you think, oh yeah, everything's secure or nothing's like it's fine. Because normal structure, all those things are put in place. They check in performance, they check in like output of work, depending on the thing. But as freelance interpreters or as someone who's just there as, language support or like whatever, what do we have in place to make sure that we have our check-in for ourselves or check-in with the client to make sure we're still on par. And all those things are like cool. Like some of the things that I do, like if I do have a regular person that I work in a work capacity, I don't like to do medical appointments for them. I just feel like it's a conflict of interest personally. If I know like it's them, I won't take the job. Like some jobs you don't know. When you get there, then you just gotta act as if. But yeah, where you like have you ever been in that situation where you've not like been so complex, like oh, it will always be there, or like what have you done to make sure that that working relationship is nurtured and things are flowing and you are, on the same par, or you like me that think like, oh, we're good for life, we're like that. The work's gonna keep rolling, and everything's gonna be fine. Let's carry on the conversations in the comment section. Bye for now.